ran into a little bit of a problem. Remember when I said that it seemed like the aftermarket piston was a few thousandths taller than the OEM one? Well, when I installed it, the bottom of the piston skirt hits ever so slightly on the crankshaft, on the lobes of the crankshaft. So I took and I put a wrist pin in between the two pistons, and I took them over to the lathe, my lathe, and just set them on one of the rails of the lathe, and sure enough, the skirt of the aftermarket piston is a little bit longer, and it's causing a little bit of interference in the motor. And so I think that I will definitely have to take ever so slightly a little bit off the bottom of the piston if I want to use this piston, because I certainly don't want it hitting the anything on the crankshaft. I was a little surprised by that, but sometimes there's just a difference between OEM and aftermarket, and I'm glad I saw that before, or felt it rather, before I went to start it, because that could definitely speed up piston wear, and shavings would probably come off and get up through the internals of the engine and score up the cylinder and piston. So that would not have been good, and my first attempt at porting would have been a failure. So I'll just I'm going to clean up the OEM piston and clean the carbon off the top of it, get it all nice and clean. I'll be able to take some measurements, and I'll put this new piston in the lathe, and we'll cut a little bit off the bottom. And because with the wrist pin in, the tops of the pistons are even with one another. And when I set it on the rail of the lathe, the OEM, or no, not the OEM, the aftermarket piston, the skirt was sitting flush, and I could rock the OEM piston, back and forth, and a little bit, not a lot. I didn't measure what the difference is, but I will, and we'll take care of that on the lathe.